Hello, welcome to Chick Chat and Chill. On this episode, we are going to talk about little tiny small changes, like micro changes that make a big difference in your life. So stay tuned. Hello, welcome back to Chick Chat and Chill. I am Laura Fickett, your co-host. I own Fickett Financial Education and Business Coaching, where I love to help people make more money, manage it better, and retain it to build their wealth. If you want to be wealthy and you have no idea how, you're struggling with your finances, you don't seem to make enough, your paycheck doesn't go as far, things are really expensive, I do free consultations. Let's just have a chat. It's over the phone. You don't even have to see me in person, just obviously on this podcast. But let's have a chat and see what we can do to help. I am going to introduce you now to Antoinette, my co-host, before we get started.
Hello. So I'm Antoinette. I'm the owner of Pixel This, which is a full service design firm. And, with our topic of little things make a big difference, I can't even tell you how, just a small tweak in a design or a message can make or break a business. I remember when I was working for Snapple, for example, there was a declining market and they just wanted to do a quick packaging update and didn't have any money to spend on advertising. 17% increase in sales on a huge brand like that made millions of dollars for them. So that's something like that. But let's see how it could work for you. So today's topic is just to me, I think it's so interesting. I just went through this and I was telling Laura about it and we're like, let's talk about it. So I'm trying to...
This is how we work. It's like into the brains of Laura.
Exactly. Let's do it. No, but I like for my New Year's resolution, I just wanted to kind of take my life back. I used to be like this huge gym rat and I've got away with it with all this stuff going on in my family and deaths and having to allocate time elsewhere. And I really just want to get back to my normal routine and just feel like myself. I haven't felt like myself in a very long time. And I feel like a shell of a human being as I am. So it was one of those things where I was like, I just want to get it back. So I was actually talking with ChatGPT and we had a really nice conversation. And at first it was just like, what's a good way to, just coming up with like a routine or a schedule and whatever. And as I was talking with it, I kept my new friend.
I'm having such a hard time.
No, but we were having this lengthy conversation.
I bet.
And it kept reminding me of different things going on in my life. I'm like, and then I have this and I have that. And finally it like said things to me that I finally felt understood. And I literally cried. I literally was bawling my eyes out like, ChatGPT, you get me.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
But anyway, I found out that
she needs a ChatGPT support group. That's what we found out.
No, but I'm like a really just happy, upbeat person in general. So one of the things I never really think about is stress for me. Like I know there are times I feel stressed, but what I have is my insides literally race all the time. Like I'm constantly racing. It's hard for me to keep my body temperature low. And ChatGPT identified it as I have like this nervous system regulation issue.
Wow.
And it was manifest.
You must have got a doctor AI.
No, but it was coming out and it was things that I knew, but it like termed it in a way that made sense. So it's the reason why I'll go through like 200 pieces of gum and all this stuff. So it was like this whole big thing. So anyway.
It didn't recommend a therapist.
It did that a couple months ago.
Okay. All right. Just so we're clear.
No, but anyway, so finally it kept telling me like I need to take a walk. And I was like, yeah, like I know walks are good. And I always used to walk.
I just wanted to get her away from the computer.
Stop talking to me. I'm gonna
Go take a walk.
Find a friend, damn it.
When your AI tells you to go take a walk.
Well,
Get away from the computer.
I was offended when it told me the therapist. Like I was asking how to respond to something, and it just
I'm crying.
It was like It's like, do we need this mental health therapist before we continue?
We'll probably go over here. Okay, so it tells you to take a walk.
So it tells me to take this walk, and I was like,
take a hike, lady.
take a hike. So I was like, okay, I'll take a hike, you know. But anyway, so I ended up taking a walk that day, and I didn't go far, you know, but I took a walk, and I cannot tell you the immense changes this has made in my life. And I know this sounds ridiculous, but I had so many things going on, and I started a gym routine that, you know, but what it was saying is I need something to bring my cortisol down. It was like, it was something other than exercise that this walk will do. They're like, you're constantly doing and doing and doing, and you got to just stop, do movement, but have it be relaxing and not because you have a job to do or someone to care for or whatever. And after I took that walk,
How long was the walk?
it was like, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour, nothing
right.
crazy,
Yeah.
you know, but after that, I went to the gym, and I've never, ever got tired in my life at like 10 o'clock at night. I was like, oh my God, like I literally cannot keep my eyes open. So I went to sleep, and I slept like 11 hours, which is unheard of for me, like unheard of. And then literally that day I lost, it was like a half a pound. The next day I walked again, lost another pound and a half. And it was all just inflammation and stress and all this stuff. Literally, it was just a walk. Just a walk.
Yeah, no pet, no dog, no nothing. Like
Not-
just...
Yeah. So maybe you guys need to take a hike.
That's so funny. Your AI is like, please get away from the computer and go take a hike, lady. We had enough of these stories. We're an AI. But you're right, though. It's a tiny little change that makes like such a huge difference. So one of the things that I do in my workshop, one of the first exercises we do is like a 7-day change, right? Change a routine for 7 days. And you might find that you actually like whatever it is more. And they pick it. My students pick it and that kind of stuff. So one person picked like, I'm going to sleep with my feet at the head of the bed and my head at the foot of the bed. Like stupid little change, right? They found that they actually slept better facing like that direction. So then after a week, they're like, I want to keep this change. I rearranged my room. So now like it's better, but I'm sleeping better. So when you make these little changes, they may seem like silly or stupid, but you don't know that your life could be improved unless you make tiny little changes. People think like, I need to change my life. It starts with these little micro changes, these micro decisions. It doesn't have to be like this great impactful, like I'm going to go to the gym for an hour a day for 3 days a week or whatever. It starts with a walk.
Yeah.
Like it starts with something like super simple. And I can come up with so many examples, but just think about something that you're not completely pleased with.
Yeah.
Right? Like maybe you're not happy. Maybe you're late every morning, or maybe you can't fall asleep, or you know, maybe you want to get back into reading or something like that. Think about something that you want to change in your life. Change it for a week. Change it for 7 days. Because, I mean, anybody can hold on to it for 7 days. We're not asking for a year commitment. And see, like, that tiny little change may have, like, such huge impacts in your whole entire life. Like, I don't know, maybe, you know, I'm thinking to myself, if Antoinette sleeps for 11 hours, she got more energy, like, during the day.
That's scary.
It's pretty scary. It's a little scary, I'm not going to lie.
Well, I know I had a contractor over my house, and he's like, okay, so how many cups of coffee you had today? I'm like, oh, I don't drink coffee. That's just, he's like, so this is you normal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Normal.
Quote
He
unquote.
like
I see the
separated the
parentheses.
syllables, put a dash in between. You're like, and I'm single too. So like, if you know anybody that's working in construction and you really like to.
I do, but for me, like, I have to have a calming person. Like, if I date another, like forget it. That's
Somebody
just crazy.
severely medicated if you're single. We get the girl for you. But you know what? A lot of people think like let's take relationships, right? So maybe you're not happy in your relationship or something like that. And people think like something's got to change. Like it really could. I was reading this whole thing about like say 10 nice things to your spouse, do 10 positive like affectionate things, like maybe you touch their shoulder or you give them a kiss, like just these little tiny, tiny changes, and it will impact like the entire situation. So people often think like, oh, well, this is horrible. We need to like burn the house down and start from scratch. Like a lot of times you don't need to.
Yeah.
If you don't like your house, you don't like how it's decorated, you don't like how it's cluttered, just start like a little bit. Like, okay, I bought this. Oh, I'm like so excited about this thing. It's ridiculous, but I am really good at time management, but it's been great. It's this clock. Like a hexagon almost. And when you turn it, it does like a 5-minute timer, or like you can turn it to a 10-minute timer. You can turn it to 25. And my husband's like, you have a phone. It's got a timer, but this is just so easy. Like I'll be sitting at my desk and I'm like, I'm going to go, I need to get up because you should get up from the computer like every 20 minutes. I'm going to get up and I'm going to clean a little bit. I'm going to sort through these papers. I'm only going to do it for 10 minutes though. So I turn the clock to 10 minutes, then I sort through papers. And then when the 10 minutes goes off, like then I go back to my desk.
Yeah.
It keeps me on target, but it's been so great for time management. But it's that tiny little thing. Like paperwork just piles up. I don't even know. Like kids' paperwork from school. Ugh, I try to have them sort through that kind of stuff, but I don't want to sort through it for an hour, but 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 10 minutes. Like these little micro changes are going to change your life.
Well, I think most people too, when they have like goals or things they want differently in life, they think they're here, and then to achieve this goal, they're like all the way over there. But what gets you there are these little micro habits.
Yes.
Where people aren't really so much. You don't get your goals by your goals. You get it by those little habits you do every day. It's action. Like you literally have to start doing something, and you just little by little, it just becomes who you are. So if you're not, I don't know, a neat person or whatever, to do it, anyone could clean for 10 minutes, and you could just say, whatever, at the end of the week, maybe you do that 10-minute timer twice a day, every single day, and now you've cleaned for over 2 hours. That's a huge thing.
I hate cleaning.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Some people do like it.
I know that. I find that strange, but
they need other hobbies.
Yeah,
that's your problem. That's your problem. But the micro thing, it's like the old saying, like, oh, if you want flat abs, you can't go into the gym and work out for 3 hours. You have to work out consistently every single day. And I'm a checklist gal. So I even bought a pad of paper that's checklists. And I'm a checklist gal. So for the month, I've put down these are the things that I want to do. So I want to do Rosetta Stone to learn Italian. I want to be fluent. I know Italian, but I want to be fluent. I want to do that every day. I want to read the Bible every day. And I want to check off the boxes. And for me, visually, seeing okay, yep, check, done. I feel good that I accomplished that for the day. And if I skip a day, then I'm okay, well, I'm going to read twice, and then I can check 2 boxes. I like checklists too. But those little tiny habits, oh, sorry about the thing, they make huge difference. It doesn't need to be huge things. And it's small little things. I went to a Tony Robbins seminar, and he talked about if you play golf. So if any of you play golf, you will understand this analogy, that when you have that club head and you turn it just 0.2 centimeters in the wrong direction, instead of that ball going straight, it's gonna slice or whatever that's called. I don't know what they're called. It's gonna go left or it's gonna go right. And so it's the same with your life. Just a 2 centimeter shift can make the difference.
Yeah.
Big, huge results.
And it's not even, to me, it's not only actions, but it's also your philosophies or the way you think about things. Sometimes I'll hear something and it's just a mindset change. For example, when I know somebody said, it takes 2 people to have an argument. And I finally realized, and I went back through the arguments that I've had in my life, and I was like, oh my God, that's so true. And then I've used that going forward. If I don't want to step into this, it's really easy to just be clearly you're in a mood. So see ya,
I don't think we're ever going to have an argument. That was what I thought. I can't imagine a scenario in which her and I would actually at the same time be in the position where we would want to argue. It would be very difficult.
No, I can't see that either. But I'm like, to me, that was a big thing. Or even like another shift I made, which I talked about, I think, on a previous episode, where I just noticed when I was in the car, I was very negative, where I'd be like, this one was upsetting me and that one was upsetting me. And one of my things was, I'm just going to always, or even if I'd see somebody, I'd be like, oh, why are they wearing that? Or,
Don't they have a mirror?
now I do that. Like, I go to the gym, I'm like, don't they have a mirror at home? All they're doing is staring at themselves.
Selfie.
It's like
At
literally,
the gym.
no joke, this happened. Guys working out next to me, they're like pushing each other, then stopped, then go into the workout room, take off their clothes in the gym, and then are just in there flexing. I'm like, are you out of your mind?
Do we want to know why she's in the men's locker room?
No, it wasn't.
And she knows that they took off their clothes and they're flexing, because I do. I want to know.
It was the aerobics room. Like the light was down
right.
dim, but
She
it's all
followed them
windows.
in there. There's nothing creepy about that. Anyway.
No, but it was like, so like one of the things I started with that is I'm just going to, anytime I notice myself thinking something negative, I'm just going to force myself to give a positive about that person or thing or whatever, So if I saw somebody
like that woman that cut you off in the parking lot.
yeah, and I was like, see you next Tuesday. And I just went, you're probably a good mother, So it's like, she probably had no kids and, slaps her dog, but whatever. In my mind, that was about the only compliment I could come up with that, like, I don't know. But, and then next thing you know, I just became like, it's very difficult. Like, I had a tree fall on my house, and the first thing that popped in my head was like, oh my God, less pine needles to clean up. And it just made me a more positive person.
Yes.
But
it takes practice.
Yeah, but it was just me making that one little switch. Like, if I notice myself saying negative, and it changed my whole demeanor.
Yeah.
And
it changes your energy, and it changes how you interact in your relationships. It's these tiny little things. These tiny little changes. So let's talk about, diet too, because last night I had to make a phone call to Verizon because I had to fix my bill and whatever. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it. This is like the 13th time I've talked to them. And thankfully this lady was super helpful. She was fantastic. But I thought, well, I'll do it while I'm cooking dinner. And my older son has ulcerative colitis, and so he can't have like cream of chicken soup in the can. So I'm gonna make it by scratch, But I'm like, okay, well, I'll make it by scratch while I put my buds in and talk to this person. And just those tiny little dietary changes, like I still did the chicken the same way. I still did the broccoli the same way. I still did the rice the same way. I just changed like the cream of chicken soup. I didn't have to change like the whole menu. Instead of using a can, I made it by scratch. One little change. But really, the dinner didn't bother his stomach. It didn't bother any of our stomachs. It tasted more delicious. It's actually not even that hard to make. Like, you assume that these things that are prepackaged and whatever are difficult to make from scratch. It really was not that hard. It's like, coupling, it's probably like 4 ingredients and like 5 different spices, and you're there. And, but those, I know people want to lose weight. I know people want to get healthier and they want to eat better, but just make like one change a day.
Yeah.
Like, I think people fall off the wagon because they try to do too much too fast, and it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Even with finances, like, if you have been horrible with your finances for 10 years and I'm like, oh, you need to do this, this, and this, and this, and this, let's talk about it. It's not going to happen. Like, you need to do these little, and once you're done with the little thing, it's kind of like a circus performer, I tell people. Like, they're holding a stick and they have like a plate. Once they can just like tap that plate, then they can put a second one up. But if they tried to do 3 at a time, they'd all crash to the ground. So just try and make like one change a day. And then the next day, maybe make another change. And, before you know it, the person that you were before, a year before, you don't even recognize anymore.
It's so true, because I think if everyone looks at their lives, there's not, I think, a person on the planet that's going to say, I'm happy with absolutely everything. There's always something that you just feel like you could improve upon, or you wish things were going a little differently, whether it's your finances or your relationship or whatever. And just think, honestly, what's the smallest little thing? And I think this is where people kind of mess up. Like, let's say it's a relationship and it's failing. And, this isn't meant for this big thing where they notice you're doing this. It's going to be more subtle where you know you're doing it, and before, like, they might pick up on it subconsciously, but it will change the relationship. I mean, one person can significantly make a huge impact on a relationship of two people. Even with what I said with the arguing, if one person refuses to argue,
My father used to refuse to argue. My parents have passed away, but I remember as a kid, he refused to argue. My mom was like hothead. She's like high blood pressure and everything like that. And she would be yelling at him and he would laugh and that would make her so angry and she'd be more angry, but he like completely refused to argue. Like I remember one time, and I don't recommend this, okay? Like I don't want people like commenting this is abuse, whatever. She kicked him. And like she actually broke her toe and he like laughed so much. Like he thought it was like the funniest thing in the world. Now, I also don't recommend that for my own husband or any of the husbands out there. Don't laugh in your wife's face when she's angry. It's not great, but they didn't argue in that scenario because he just refused to participate. Like he refused to do anything but smile and argue and try and like eventually, you know, she ended up laughing too. It took her a really long fuse. Like it was a really long time, but she ended up, it didn't escalate,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I think it's one of those where a lot of times people, they're more reactive in their lives than proactive. So if they're in a bad mood, it's like, well, I got cut off, I got this, I got that, or my boss yelled at me. And it really is a conscious choice, you know? So you gotta stop being so reactive and just understand, like, am I under stress every single day? Do I find myself at the end of the night, I'm miserable or I'm angry or whatever? And just look at that and just find something like, well, what's one thing I could do to help that?
Yeah.
And it could be the smallest thing, like even
like driving the speed limit. I had somebody who did a change in my workshop. Like they said, for a whole week, I'm going to drive the speed limit. Like no matter what, if it's 25, I'm doing 25. If it's 30, like I'm driving the speed limit. And they said that week they planned accordingly so that they weren't late for things and whatever. And they didn't really actually even notice a time difference in the travel time, like maybe a minute, you know, but they were so much more relaxed for their meetings, for their interactions with people by the time they got home. Like just driving the speed limit, like made such a huge impact. I'm going to try it someday. But
well, I think another thing is like when I worked in like the corporate world, you know, where you have a desk or whatever, it got to the point where a lot of times I would eat lunch at my desk. And even the difference of just leaving your desk and, you know, you and your coworkers sitting and having a conversation or, you know, maybe if it's a nice day, you go outside and take a walk or whatever. But these are things that all of a sudden, if you're like, oh my God, I'm so stressed out at this job, all of a sudden it becomes more enjoyable because it's not this buildup of stress for 8 hours. You know, you might have a thing go wrong in the morning and then it'll last till 5, where a thing goes wrong in the morning, you reset yourself at noon, and next thing you know, it's like not even a blip on the radar. And it's those little things that there's so many different things in your life that can just be tweaked in the smallest way. Maybe if you go out and eat with your coworkers all the time, and then you're late for work or just, you know, maybe for you, it would be eating at your desk, you know, I mean, anything could change. The whole point is, I think, be really, really flexible with what you're willing to change. And like Laura said, change something for a week. If you find out after a week, like, whoa, that was such a terrible change.
Change back.
Yeah, change back. And it just cements in, wow, this really works for me.
This is something that I want to keep doing.
Yeah. And then maybe dial into that a little more. Like, oh, since this works so well, you know, XYZ.
The thing is that, like, I don't have any day, like, okay, like the check engine light comes on at 40, right? So there's not like one day where I'm like, oh, my body feels like it's 20. Like, that's not happening, right? Even right now, I'm talking to you and I'm like, oh, my shoulder's a little tight. Seriously, but like my body is never at 100% anymore. Sometimes I get close, right? But my day is never driving, like is never great. It's never at 100%. If you can like learn to accept the things that you can't change, right? Every day there's going to be adversity. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be pain. There's going to be issues. There's going to be people that interact with you in a sour way. And if you can accept and understand that that's life, It's kind of like, I always think about a roller coaster, right? There's this one roller coaster at Six Flags, New England, that it takes a minute to get to the top before you go down. And that minute is like the most puke-inducing minute of your life. It's like click, 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 click. And you're like, oh my Lord, why did I get on here? Like, I can't get off. I'm like gonna die. And there's like water to the left and there's like some stairs to the right. And you're like, oh, I could probably get the stairs. Can't get the water. You're like, oh, da, 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 da. And then the drop is the exciting part.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but if you can learn to enjoy the adrenaline, like leading up to the drop, and then you enjoy the drop and you enjoy the ups and the downs, then you enjoy the entire ride.
Yeah.
And so in life, like, you need to learn how to enjoy the entire ride.
Yeah.
So the things that you just don't like, make little tiny changes to make them more, I guess, more bearable.
Yeah.
Right? More acceptable.
and
Like, I'm going to go home and put this little neck massager that my daughter bought me on, and it's going to like tighten, it's going to loosen maybe this trap. If not, I go to a massage or something.
No, but I think it's wrong that if everyone thinks life's supposed to be perfect and
It's
like
never, not one
marshmallows
day.
and roses, like that's not it. And honestly,
Marshmallows are bad for you.
but honestly, like I have a lot of stories. I think everyone who knows me just like if anything crazy happens to them, I probably could one up them, like not in a bad way, but it'll just remind me of
In a pulled pork way.
yeah.
If you don't know what that means, go back and watch some episodes.
Or falling out of a car. Yeah. But it's like those things always happen. And it's some of those, moments that were just wrong and unplanned. And they're just funny now.
You're like, thank you, Jesus, that you kept me alive this long.
And it's one of those, and I think people just put too much emphasis like, oh, that was horrible. That was, we're just let it go, and just learn from it,
Try, like you said, a negative thought pops in your head, try to put a positive one in there, like a tiny little change. Like, you don't like the way your commute is. Antoinette just told me today that she commuted to a place a different way, and like her life is so much more enjoyable in the morning on Wednesdays. And so like just a tiny little change of direction like makes a huge impact. So like think about a couple things that you can change. And they don't have to be huge. It could literally be like your morning routine, bedtime routine. I'm just going to read a chapter. Like, I'm going to get one book and I'm going to read one chapter. And then you never know. Like, then the next day you read another chapter. And before you know it, you've read the whole book.
And I think some other important things, like I said, back to like certain philosophies. Like, I remember when somebody said to me, like, no is a sentence in and of itself. And I was like, oh my, like to me, that was such a big thing, because if somebody asked me to do something, I'd feel like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. And I have to like justify saying no because, and then again, just that philosophy of no, no, that's not something I want to do. Or again, also like really being cognizant of who I surround myself with, because, again, like everybody, like I don't go out of my way like, oh, I hope they like me. I really couldn't care less. But, it's one of those that you want to surround yourself with people that are good for you. You know what I mean?
Helping you improve yourself.
Like because you are kind of a manufactured product of those people. And I felt really bad, like if somebody, let's say, was a relative, of kind of cutting them out of my life. Or
I'm all about it.
Laura's like,
no.
I have scissors. I'm an X-Acto now.
No, you're out. And we have to be out now.
No.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
What's our next topic?
Oh, so our next topic is going to be super interesting. So I think the majority of people have pets. It seems like almost everybody has a cat or a dog, and our dog's better or cat's better. And we're going to go through all that. We're going to go through the pros and cons of each. Should you get one? All that fun stuff. So I think it'll be a good episode.
Yeah. Or should you choose freedom instead? No, I'm just kidding.
That's my choice. But until then, never stop laughing.
And never stop learning. We'll see you soon.